So I'm here with Cofounded Sheree, and thank you very much for coming to BlockShow Asia. And my first question is, how do you feel here in Singapore? How do you find the community? Do you find yourself more inspired today because of the event?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Like, you're just seeing all the startups, seeing what everyone has to do. It's just amazing. So we're down here with our Lamborghini, but then you've got all these other booths set up, and you know, it's just fantastic seeing everyone around. It's just like all this energy, so it's really great.
Yeah, we're a Singaporean company, and I went to school in Singapore many years ago, so I feel pretty
so you are like the
kind of that's right. So I lived here for 8 years as well, and so yeah, very comfortable to be back home in Singapore, which is really opening up well for the fintech sector, we think.
But imagine that you travel a lot, both. How do you find like the tech community? Are there differences noticed by you in different places, in different countries? What is special about Singapore and about different continents?
You want to go?
Well, for me, I've travelled quite a bit, but I think Singapore is just a real fintech vibe at the moment, and everyone's learning and catching on. Hong Kong's quite similar, so I was in Hong Kong last month for BlockShow as well, and just to see, like, you know, it's totally different dynamics, slightly different people, a bit more corporate involvement over there, but it's the same thing again. I think it's all quite similar, but Singapore for me at the moment, it's fantastic just seeing, you know, the weather, the people and everyone here. It's really great.
Yeah, and we chose Singapore specifically for BitCar, and you know, the talent pool here is very, very high. The education system is fantastic. And also, you know, everything from the monetary authority of Singapore through to other regulators, and the community itself is becoming increasingly supportive of high quality fintech and ICO companies. So that's why we feel confident in basing ourselves in Singapore and have set up the company here. And yeah, we think it's a great environment here.
Interesting, because like on the personal level, I've heard somebody telling that like Singapore is very much law restricting. I mean, there are a lot of laws everywhere. You can read like the fine for, I don't know, fishing is 5,000, for of course smoking, or I don't know, importing chewing gum.
Oh,
like more than 3 packs of cigarettes, for example. So a lot of bans, but still, how do you find the technology ecosystem? Is it different?
Yeah, Singapore has had a bit of a history for some bans, but you know, it's a very well organised place, and the safety aspect for people is amazing in Singapore, second to none. So you know, it's a sort of way up between the two. But I will say, Singapore is progressive and it's changing, and it's, you know, there were been times when they were a little worried about the ICO industry. And then recently they've, you know, for quality ICO companies, the mass and others are encouraging, and we feel encouraged by the regulatory environment here and the talent pool very much, and I think it's progressive and changing. So I think next year we'll see more companies relocating to Singapore and doing their businesses here. I think we'll see that.
Even the turnout today at Cointelegraph BlockShow, you just see the massive numbers. Like, it says something there that, you know, everyone's like gearing up to actually get involved in Singapore.
Well, yes, it's true that I think that we are growing every second, and it's impressive. And like, what did you inspire actually, guys, to enter the crypto community back in, I don't know when?
2014, 13, about that. Yeah, we started actually, Sheree and I, we started very early days, and at that time we were in Australia, and we were doing a blockchain project at the time, and we went around talking to people about blockchain and kind of thing, and they just looked at us like, are you mad, or what the hell is that? It's just, this couldn't get any traction. We went into investor meetings back in 2014, and they just said, what is this? Don't understand it, go away, sort of thing, right? So it was absolutely nothing. And if you look at the line of the value of Bitcoin at that time, it was right, that line was still flat, and there was no interest.
Did you see the magic of yesterday? Like, by BlockShow Asia, we made some magic in order to issue the news upon the 10,000 of
Wow, you pushed it just over. It was all you guys, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, Cointelegraph, we're actually early supporters because, you know, there's CoinDesk and Cointelegraph, and so it's great to see how big Cointelegraph has come so quickly. So, and you actually published an article for us, I think probably 2014 or 15.
Yeah, early days.
Well, I remember it was very small, and we just had to do one call at that time, and it was great, you know, but now it's a huge company, so it's amazing to see the growth.
But we are all, I think, a little bit mad. As you told, like, maybe people thought that back in 2014 that it's mad to develop such a project, but I think that Do you consider yourself a little bit mad to be
I'd say so.
Or it's all rational?
It's mad and it's rational at the same time. You go down this deep dark rabbit hole just to learn about the tech, and then you think about, wow, you can do so many things with it. So we've done identity, we've done like all these different industries, and now, you know, lifestyle, BitCar is the one for us.
Yes.
And, you know, a really fun product, a really sexy product that everyone can finally understand and grasp. So we've been working on this for the last, you know, since 2015, but back then the market was, you know, not matured enough to really understand what is Bitcoin. There's like, oh, it's a dark, you know, deep dark digital currency, and then they didn't really understand what is blockchain technology. Now those two questions have been answered, and Bitcoin is doing really well as a positive as well. You know, we're just thinking, you know, this is a time where everyone's going to start understand tokenizing products, digital assets, and, you know, really understanding that, you know, you can take things and they all can become digital. And this is the beauty of what we're doing. We have BigCar, it's fractional ownership of, you know, exotic car, and exotic car is like it's a asset class that, you know, people couldn't really get to before. You need those, you know, millions of dollars, and where are you going to find that? But now we're just like, look, things can be digital. So this is the exciting future that we're looking forward to.
I wouldn't say we're mad. I think we're experimental, though. We have experimented with, we created Power Ledger, we created a medical blockchain company, and BigCar, and they're all somewhat experimental because it didn't exist before we did it. We like to do something that's never been done before, a world first, and so experimental, I think. And it, you know, cryptocurrency and exotic cars can look like a cocktail that's quite high octane, and some people sort of might think it's a gimmick, but actually it's 2.5 years of work, careful research, and it's the opening of an asset class that's being closed to the public. So we're very excited about it, and the reaction so far is fantastic.
Well, it's really exciting to speak with you when I see that you are so excited about things that you do. It's great. Actually, I'm trying to collect tips for reading from our guests. So could you recommend some reading, maybe some recent big impression that you had on crypto or on anything actually, but something that that is worth reading and be inspired of it?
Yeah, I mean, I actually read a lot of your articles.
Yeah.
On
I was going to say.
and I will say there was a good one the other day about asset tokenization, and there was explaining why asset tokenization is becoming the real theme for 2018, we think, which is what BitCar is as well. And part of it is because it's so frictionless, the fees are lower, it's transparent, and so that applies to many different sectors. And I think 2018 is really going to be the year where we see asset tokenization take off.
Thank you. This is kind of honey on my soul. And you about reading?
Sorry? For reading for me, well, I'm a bit more of an academic these days, so everything I come across is through that sector. But, you know, a lot of stuff, people come to me, they say, you know, what can I learn about, what can I read? And, you know, they're just getting into the beginning stages of blockchain. So there's a lot of materials out there, and for a lot of people I just say, look, if you're interested, even set up something as simple as Google Alerts and just getting the updates, just keeping on top of what the daily news is. Don't have to understand all of it. Reading the headlines, and that just gets people going, I find. So most of the people that come to me, they're really happy just to learn as they go.
Yeah. Or if you want something hardcore, go for game theory, which is also behind the blockchain. Game theory is a big part of the design of blockchains, and so that's fun too.
Very well. Thank you very much. Okay. Very innovative approach to everything, and also to life. And maybe life and work is all together now.
Yes.
Also thank you very much. Enjoy your time at BlockShow Asia. And
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucas.
Thanks for having us.
Sheree, first of all, very nice to meet you.
You too.
Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be talking about it later. So, BitCar. I heard about it a lot. Yeah, these days.
Good to know.
Yeah, so people are actually wondering what it is and how it works. Can you explain?
Sure. So BitCar, what we're doing is we're taking the best performing asset class in the world, which is exotic cars. So I don't think a lot of people know this because they seem very confused. They're like, but cars depreciate. I was like, no, only certain types. So exotic cars are those cars that, you know, cost over the millions, and generally you wouldn't buy it until you've done quite well in your career, buy it, and then you'll probably end up staring at a garage anyway because you don't get a chance to drive it. So what we've done is we've taken that asset class and then now we say, hey, how about if everyone else wants to get involved? All of you guys can buy your piece of an exotic car. So we've fractionalized digital asset ownership of exotic cars now. So anyone else can buy a piece of a Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bugatti, and, you know, own it, trade it, whatever you want to do with it. So we've pretty much put exotic cars on the blockchain.
How did you come up with this idea?
Well,
put exotic cards on the blockchain.
Yeah.
There has to be a story, right?
There is. So this company actually started 2 years ago. Back then we were looking at a lot of different things. The co-founders, John and Gov, they were looking at art, but the problem with artwork is, you know, it can be faked. You know, how do you know that's a real Mona Lisa? So all these thoughts came in, and it's like, okay, what about another, you know, another class we look at is fine wines, but then again, it can be faked. So we're thinking about it, and you know, they were thinking about it, and they thought, you know, what's the one class that you can't? And it's like, hey, what about exotic cars, supercars, hypercars? Like, you know, there's only a limited number in the world, and let's say if you've only got 40 cars in the world, practically everyone knows who owns those 40 cars. And how do you fake a car? Who's going to recreate it, recreate the engine? And so it becomes a lot more difficult. It's like, look, this is a class that we can take and people will actually understand it, to be fractionally be able to own it. And why would you want to do that? Because, you know, this asset class is normally only limited to those who are very wealthy, and you know, and they buy it, and they probably just buy it in bulk as well. And then, you know, no one else ever gets to see it. But you know, we want art. We want it to be appreciated by people. We want to put it in museums around the world, in airports, so people can go see it, and they can also buy it on demand. So you can, there will be a QR code. You can go scan it, and you can buy your piece of a Lamborghini, and that piece of Lamborghini will only go up in value over the time, hopefully.
So basically, you're owning a part of a car.
Yes, a part of it.
So I'm a little bit confused. You actually own a part of the car, but are you able to drive it or to use it?
No, that's the thing. Okay, so if you have an exotic car, and would you want other people to drive it?
Never, honestly.
You can be crashed.
No, I would never do that.
And then what happens to your asset? It's going to go down in value, will not exist.
Yeah,
so this is the reason why. So we did think about it, and we thought, okay, these are pieces of art, and we do want to maintain their condition, because they'll appreciate over time only if they're in perfect mint condition. And everyone's got to agree on it, so no one's really going to let anyone else drive it. So we said, look, we'll use them for display, and everyone can enjoy it in that way. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Basically, it's all about the idea of owning an asset, or owning a piece of art.
Yeah.
So what is the roadmap?
Yeah, so for us, we're currently, well, we already have the technology developed. We've got the prototype, the training platform, all done in the last few years. We've been testing it, we've learned a lot with token structure and design, and seeing regulation come into place, so we know how to structure it and make sure, you know, it's compliant. Now we're going into an ICO, so that'll be starting next month. It's very exciting. So what the ICO will help us with is to help with the development. So we're making it a fully decentralized platform. So for the future, you know, there won't be any, you know, semi-centralized structures. So we decided we're going to get this right from the start, and so we're going to create a proper platform. We'll be doing all the digital parts of the actual platform, the tokenizing of the cars, and then we'll have verified agents. So they'll be the ones, you know, looking, sourcing, acquiring, and buying the cars to put onto the platform. So once our platform goes live, early next year, we'll then have it onboarded with the actual exotics on there. So that'll be a really exciting time for us. So it's all going to come together about mid-end next year. So it will go live.
Oh, you sound like you're a person who really loves art, right?
Oh yeah, we all do. So Gov and John, actually, they're very, very passionate about classic cars. So this is what drove them to it. And for me, I love all the arts, music, everything.
Only classic art, because the platform sounds like a really good place for pieces of art, different pieces of art.
It is, yeah.
Are you planning to expand?
We haven't ruled that out, but we decided we want to narrow the focus. We want to get it right the first time, so people can clearly understand.
Good.
So we start saying we're doing wine, art, all these other things. So like, so what about my diamond ring and all this? So it's going to get really, you know, really big, really fast. And we want to make it clear, achievable, reach our target goals. And then after that, we'll look into the future. So there's a lot we can do. We can probably stay in the transfer industry, you know, disrupt a few things there along the way. Otherwise, we can expand our platform or white label it for other people to use as well.
Well, that sounds, I mean, I
There's
love the
a lot of
approach.
options,
I love the approach that is, you know, it's so narrow that you really want to focus on the product first.
Yes.
So it brings trust, I guess, because we don't see a lot of platforms out there that focus, well, they want to focus on everything, to tokenize everything at the same time.
And the claim's going to be big after a while. We're like, we've got to bring it back a bit. We've got to be realistic here.
So
and we're doing a really expensive asset class.
It's really cool. You personally, Sheree, and your partners, when did you enter the blockchain technology or first heard of it?
Oh, me. I was back in 2013, the early days. Yeah. So I know most people from the early Bitcoin blockchain conferences or Bitcoin conferences back
Have you
then.
been involved with other projects then? Or
Yeah,
just
so
observing?
Power Ledger is one of the ones we've done. So we did Australia's first ICO. So we're still part of Power Ledger as well. We did the first ICO in Australia, which is like really, you know, groundbreaking for us. No one else has attempted it. It was like, you know what, we're going to do our Australian jurisdiction. It's an Australian product. you know, it works well, and you know, it was very, very well received. So we did $34 million in our ICO.
Oh my God, that's impressive.
So it's very, very exciting. So Ledger Assets is the company behind it. So we're actually the technology providers for Power Ledger. So it's all kind of you know, mixed in together, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we worked in the sector for quite some time. We also did another one called E-nome. It's a medical platform, so that's due to be come out public very soon as well. So this is the last one for us. This is our product that we did from the start, but along the way there's just so many other offers that, you know, we want you to do one in medical, energy, and then now, like, you know, we're done. This is the final product for us, and unless something really exciting comes along, but we're just like, you know, we want to build this out. This is our proper company, and you know, the end goal is just to have ourselves in museums, you know, on the side of Formula One racing, all that,
that
on the track.
Sounds impressive. It sounds like you have a lot of expertise in the field.
Yeah.
So that actually pretty great lead to my next question. Where do you see the best possible implementation of the blockchain technology? So there are a lot of industries.
There's so many,
Yeah, but in your personal opinion, what is the best?
For me, I was always quite interested in the music industry outside of what I'm doing. So yeah, when I first looked into this, my interest has always been in, you know, intellectual property laws, you know, so the arts. Yeah, it's always been the arts for me. And unfortunately, I'm from Australia, WA, so there's not a lot of you know, music industry going on in WA side. There's a few limited opportunities over in Sydney, Melbourne, and you know, just seeing you know, everything happening, developing so fast. For me, that was the first logical one. Just seeing, you know, there's a huge issue in the music industry, and to have that resolved with a blockchain would just be fantastic.
You're talking
the way
about
royalties,
property, copyrights,
copyrights, how it's distributed at the moment, publishing, all of that can be, you know, just changed really simply just with, you know, the one blockchain solution. So I think there's a lot to do in the arts sector. Fraud as well. So this is what I always say, you know, you can blockchain everything and anything, but is there a need? Do the current systems work? So we do find a lot of people say, oh, I want to blockchain this, I want to blockchain that. I was like, hold on a second, what's the problem? What are you trying to achieve? So blockchain works the best when there is an actual problem. So normally that's where there's instances of fraud, where people, you know, don't do what they say they're going to do. So smart contracts help in that sense, and this is why arts do so well, because there's a lot of fraud in those areas, and you can actually prove the provenance of where something is from, and so it's quite useful in that sector. Yeah,
you've mentioned that, and it actually makes perfect sense. I mean, I've never thought of that, but I mean, it's amazing. You're right. So the BlockShow itself, what is the best part?
Oh, the best part for me, I think it's been a bit different this year, because most of the time I've seen in a lot of presentations, but this year we had the booth, we have our Lamborghinis, so we're out on the floor a lot as well.
Yeah, I saw that one, a yellow one, right?
Yes, that is ours. So it's pretty exciting, and then, you know, we get to talk to a lot of the other booths and everyone out there and all the other startups, and they always come speak to us. So just seeing it and being a part of it and seeing everyone, you know, get so excited, and you know, we talked to a lot of people, might end up collaborating with a lot of people here as well. It's just exciting to learn about all the new technologies that's out there.
The networking, people have been saying that the network
is fantastic. And you guys set up the little areas, and I think that was really, really good.
Okay, so one more question then. What do you think about the whole blockchain community itself? Because a lot of people are inspired by what people do here. So what do you think about the community, the people that behind the technology?
Oh, I absolutely love it. So in my industry that I worked in for many years, it's very segmented. Like no one really talks to anything. And when I first went into the Bitcoin industry very early, in the early days in 2013, like everyone would just talk to you. They'd say, oh, what are you doing here? You know, what do you like about it? Because we're all just trying to learn, and that the only way to learn is to really share ideas, because there's no content on the internet. There wasn't a lot of people who knew about it, and we all just gather at these conferences, and I think that's fantastic to see that it was really small back then, but now it's grown up into like not just Bitcoin, blockchain, distributed ledgers, and then everyone from all corners of the globe are really coming either just to learn or to talk about their startups or to work with other people, and I love the collaborative approach that everyone gives.
Yeah, that's really an amazing part. Thank you very much for this interview.
Right,
it was such a pleasure to meet you. So I really wish you the best in your product, because I love what you do, and I hope you will achieve everything that you've applied for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, and make sure to follow Cointelegraph.
I will already do.
Have a great day.